Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toku Portal podcast for Kaitou Sentai LupinRanger versus Keisatsu Sentai PatoRanger. I am Vashi V, and here with me today is.
Decade?
And Rye. No King tonight, sorry, she's not feeling well. You're probably listening in, so hi, King.
Episode 2. We start off with the narrator recap, then we just pick up right where we left off. The PatoRangers attack. Nigo is surprised by his strength. Not much to say, but it is cool that those uh, shoulder plates or whatever actually serve as like deflecting armor pieces, which is it is making their suit fighting style pretty unique. So it'll be nice seeing them actually take shots because in most other Sentai they just never get hit until it's like a really serious monster. And it's the same with the LupinRanger capes, so they could deflect blasts. So that's cool. But Garato escapes. The LupinRangers summon their vehicles and take off. However, the PatoRangers summon their vehicles and give chase. And then we get the opening song. So thoughts?
Uh, this was a good way to start off. I liked seeing how they now we're starting to see their different ways of fighting. And just the way that they mesh together. It's also worth noting that PatoRanger aren't after the looping collection and might not even understand what that is at this point. They're just out to defeat the Gangler. Uh, so I'm interested in seeing where that goes and what they're going to do when they learn more about the looping collection. If they're going to try and take those from the thieves. As for their summoning their mechs, what's with the air horns?
The air horns that turn into batons?
No, when they summon their mechs, when it's like red, blue, yellow, boom, 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 boom.
Oh, yeah.
Those air
I'm,
horns.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's an explanation for it.
Somebody literally just held an air horn up to the mic and pressed it a few times.
Well, they had to make it different somehow.
I mean, it's not bad, but it's confusing.
It could have been I guess, for lack of a better term, to be a dumb, cheap sound effect for police sirens.
Okay,
I don't know. I'm just trying
that
to quantify it in any way, shape, or form.
that's an idea. Doesn't quite fit in with the thieves half, but all right, let's go with that.
Um, yeah, honestly, I enjoyed the start of this, the fight in of itself, just seeing how they mesh together, and like I said, seeing the fact that the Pat Rangers really don't understand or know of the existence of the Lupin collection. They're just there to literally be cops. Um, I'm I really do want to see how that progresses as because obviously they're going to figure out what the Lupin collection is and all this because it's kind of tied in with the show. And obviously, from the looks of it, the Lupin Rangers will get there, collect the collection piece, and will raise questions. Obviously, um, honestly, initially I was concerned about the looks of the mechs from the start, just because of the fact that it's just three flying vehicles and three, land vehicles, and then the weird the combination on top of the freaking Lupin Rangers, but it oddly looks really good. I was hesitant with this, but they turned out really really awesome in action, and I love the theme song.
Oh yeah, the opening theme is great. It's definitely a different direction compared to what we've gone in recent years, but I really like it.
But it is still not the best piece of music in this episode. I
No.
will get to not by far, but
It
it's
is,
still good.
it is a really smooth like opening though. It is not one song for both teams. It is they both share a song. They're like two people singing at the same time. It is really well done.
Think Time Judged All if the Unk and Edgy both sang it at the same time.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, we get episode title number 2: Global Police Give Chase. The Lupin Rangers and PatoRangers showcase their vehicle's abilities during the chase. Pretty cool. Patoran Ichigo bravely jumps out of his vehicle mid-air, but misses Red's jet and just falls into the water. And the Lupin Rangers escape. Kairi and Toma are determined to retrieve the collection pieces and defeat the Ganglers, despite Fumika's optimism. She's pretty much has the same opinion that crap, I already forgot his name, but that Nigo had about working together just to defeat the Ganglers. So Kairi returns to where they fought just to get more information on Garato, and he witnesses civilians thanking Keiichiro. But Keiichiro is unsatisfied that he did not defeat the monster and promises to do so to the victims. Any thoughts before I move on?
Yes. So first off, that whole city chase. I'm going to enjoy counting up just how much citywide damage LupinRanger causes. Uh, with complete disregard for it as well. Also, Green from PatoRanger, he reminds me a lot of Ziggy from Power Rangers RPM, and also a little Gokai Green. Uh, did you guys get that feeling from him? Just the way he's like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah, just the way he's kind of like silly in that sense and doesn't really know what he's doing. Uh, Also, it's nice to see that Patran Red is taking his job seriously. We don't have much motivation for why he's doing it, but it's good to see that he's not just being like a random fireball. He's actually concerned about what's going on.
He's I equate him to Bon after he calmed down.
Oh yeah, that like jump from the mech was Bon all around.
Like that was the only issue with his character that to me seemed a little bit out of place. Because yes, it was a comedic moment, but dude, you literally jumped at a plane
Also,
as if it couldn't move.
can we talk about how that jump came to be a bit? Like, I don't think Green intended to break that part of the bridge to make a ramp. I think he just lost control of his vehicle and was firing randomly. Pink may have decided to take advantage of it though. She seemed like more intentional shooting the part of the bridge up.
Well, to me, it seemed like Green was firing at Blue, Lupin Blue,
Maybe.
because that's who he was chasing, and Lupin Blue kind of flew over the bridge, and Green went under it. So it could have just been that. It's just a mistimed fire that turned out to be a good thing, I guess. Um, I think with Umika and what is it? Sakuya is that
Uh,
green for PatoRanger?
I
Yeah,
wrote
yeah, I
their
think so.
names down. If you
Yeah,
scroll
I
up
scrolled
in
back
the...
up to them, but I don't have the colors next to the PatoRangers. Um,
Oh yeah.
they seem to be setting up very well for them working together down the road because they both make good points. It's like at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter who gets rid of the Gangler because that's the whole purpose of the PatoRangers. As long as the Lupins get the collection, it really doesn't matter. Seemingly, I mean, the further this episode gets in, there seems to be a more of a point for the Lupin Rangers doing it with the whole motivations. But all in all, is like I liked Kyrie going back to find out clues, to get clues, and Umika yelling out, "What about the restaurant?" It was a nice touch that they're actually supposed to be doing other shit.
You know, our
And
undercover job.
then you get Kyrie basically seeing that Keiichiro is actually a decent cop because he just, ends up promising the people that basically had been stolen from by the Gangler that they'll get the guy who did it, or in this case, the monster that did it. Excuse me. So yeah, all in all, it was a really good build up to the start of the episode.
So then we see the three Lupin Rangers in different locations. And then we get flashbacks of Kairi losing his brother, Toma losing his wife or fiance, Aya, and Fumika losing her best friend to a monster who turned them into crystal dust. They were each given a VS changer by Kogure, who claimed that they could be revived using the hidden power of the collection. The three vowed to bring their loved ones back, even if one of them falls, like they mentioned in the first episode. Yeah, any thoughts?
Uh, so this was really interesting because this didn't tell us everything, but it gave us their incentives. They all lost someone important to them. But Red, Kyrie, like he was in having an argument with his brother. What was that argument about, though? Right now, I'm gonna guess like some kind of family business thing, probably. Uh, but then, like, Kogure, the old dude that recruits them, how did he just find them? Seems a little. That part seems like very suspicious to me. I'm not saying he's in on it. I'm saying like he knew somehow. It makes me look forward more to seeing what the PatoRangers' backstories are.
In terms of Kogure being there, it could have just been a simple instance of they have some way to detect when the Lupin collection is being used. And given their reactions that were going on when he found them, would make sense to, hey, let's get you guys to do this and you guys can get your loved ones back.
Hey, you want superpowers?
Yeah, pretty much. To me, through all that though, Kairi seemed more intimate, I guess, for lack of a better word. Because while yes, everybody else has lost their loved one too, is like everybody else, it was not just their loved ones that had got it, that got turned into crystal. With Kairi, it was literally just his brother. Because the other ones took place in a really public area, whereas Kyrie's took place in an alley.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Uh, the Gangler walks right past Kyrie and ignores him, and there was no one else nearby, so it's not like he didn't want to attack in public. And even then, he does the other attacks in public.
Like, I think it's one of those things where it's really confusing as a motivation of behind the bad guy. Like, is it random or was it meticulous? Because with the way it passes Kyrie and other people, just takes out one and then takes out two groups of people. Is like, was this like meticulous in terms of, because the bad guys actually feel like an actual criminal organization. So did like Kyrie fall? What's the phrase I'm trying to look for? Basically, like, did he owe the Gangler money or something, or some type of situation to where he failed to pay and now got to break some kneecaps?
But I will say this: the Ganglar was in human form, and it won't be surprising if they start taking on human disguises. But I will say the possibility arises that we're being a little presumptuous about this Ganglar that attacked everyone.
Definitely. We'll just have to see what happens because there are way too many questions right now.
I have a feeling at least the human forms are going to be akin to like Blade's generals for Kamen Rider Blade, where it was only like the high level ones who could do it.
Well, what I'm saying is like, we're assuming that it was a Ganglar.
Well, yeah, that's true. Like, but all evidence points to it. It was literally the only person who asked him.
Yeah, unless that's what they want us to think.
Right, because every other time, because he was the Gangler was shown with the other two in the background. And they were in Gangler. It was in the Gangler form.
Oh, it was.
So, yes,
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that again.
Especially in Lupin Yellows. In Lupin Yellows, it was clearly a Gangler.
Yeah, I'm gonna rewind
And then
the
it walked,
episode.
and because then it walked off.
So then, yeah.
Didn't it, it didn't, sorry. It didn't look like any of the ones we've seen so far.
Yeah, he wasn't at that big meeting in episode 1. So then we cut to Garato terrorizing the city. The LupinRangers arrive first, fight a little bit. Blue and yellow restrain Garato while red steals the collection piece. And then the PatoRangers arrive and Keisatsu change, and we actually get to see the sequence, and it is pretty damn awesome. I mean, it's clean, it's simple, but it does the job. It's really cool.
However, it's still not as good as LupinRangers.
Yes, the jazz is just too good. The spotlight,
the jazz in the spotlight is the best thing about the LupinRangers.
Their smirks when the hat forms into the helmet. But during the fight, Red can't ignore Ichigo's determination to fulfill his promise to the victims and retreats with the other LupinRangers. And Blue kind of reluctantly agrees. The PatoRangers defeat the Potamon. That's interesting. And Garato, after fusing with the good striker to form PatoRen Yugo. Yeah. This is definitely breaking the mold. Thoughts?
One thing that I hadn't noticed until the second time I watched this episode was that not only did the Ganglars have saves on them, they all have like some kind of input. This one had a keypad that I didn't even notice the first time I watched this episode. and the buttons actually lit up as he was hacking the safe. That was neat, and I hope we see more things like that. As for the fight, this was a good fight. The camera work is still like they're still doing some weird stuff with it. Maybe I'll get used to it if they're gonna keep doing it as a theme. But I do like that Kairi was able to be like, you know what? I'll give him this one. They're definitely not going to see eye to eye every time like that, but it's nice to see that they're already kind of like, well, we don't have to be at each other's throats the whole time. In some ways, we're after the same goal.
Right, because with Kyrie, it was basically we've got the Lupin collection, so they're here. Let them defeat the monster. Let him keep his promise. It was a nice little touch, and it shows that at least from the way he was introduced as a character, that Kyrie's grown just a little bit, even just from that. Because the last episode, he was just pissed that they even so much as interfered. Um, Whereas this one, he kind of has some, okay, I see why you're doing this. I have no idea what was up with the fucking baton bullshit. I'm sorry, the megaphone part. The megaphone part of it.
Okay, I forgot about that.
What the fuck was that?
He just like shouts out orders into the megaphone like a drill sergeant, and the Pota men just fall in line. Also, can we talk about the Pota man's designs? How they kind of look like skeleton gangsters that have been shot up.
With red Flintstone ties. Like, I kind of like their design. It's really, really different from what I'm used to seeing.
It's growing on me. And I do
But I like it.
I like the detail in it. Because I think about like some of the past ones that we've gotten, and those are just so lazy.
The Moeba.
God, okay, the concept art for the Moeba looks way better than the actual costume.
But yeah, like the details on this is amazing, and in movement when they actually fight, it actually does look decent. They look like your typical grunts, but they seem to be able to, just from the costume design seems to be like they can actually hold themselves in a fight, and they're not just faceless grunts like they've always been.
I hope they're all. I wonder if like they were falling in line because they're just not too smart, or if the megaphones just have some kind of hypnotic thing to it, like. Because even when they started, like, just barreling through them, most of them stayed in place and waited for it to come.
Right, and that was the part that had me so confused with what had happened. Because it's not so much the fact that it happened, it was, why is this happening?
They got to the third row when some of them started to fight back, and even then they just kind of stood there.
And we have the fusion. I don't know what to say about that. It was very, very different and very awesome at the same time, but really fucking weird.
Deno climax form.
But with people and not spirits.
Yeah, the double reboot looks really weird.
Oh, jeez.
That's a great joke.
But seriously, like, what?
Like, again, how? I don't care about any of that. I just want to know how.
Like, okay, so team finishes in the past have been metaphorical, like, oh, we're coming together, we're combining our weapons kind of thing. No, they literally came together.
Like, entirely in one being, and the personalities were there.
Literally like some Deno or double shit that we just mentioned.
I wonder what Hilltop's gonna have to say about this.
Hey, Sentai, you're getting Kamen Rider again.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So yeah, they defeat Garato. Gosh is that female gangler. She shows up, revives Garato using a collection piece. The three PatoRangers are kind of fighting each other in the same body. Lupin Rangers. Oh wait, no, I skipped that. Yeah, that's before she shows up. And then Garato comes back to life. He's a giant, of course.
And hold on. I want to talk about everything that just happened before we move on.
Okay. All right.
So first off, I love that the Lupin Rangers just get a kick out of seeing the PatoRangers combined form. Like, what even is that? As the PatoRangers themselves don't even know what's going on. Pinky's just like, hey, don't touch me. And then when Garato is brought back to life, you can see them on the ground, like, not even able to move because they don't know what to do. That was just really well done comedy there. As for Gotch, wow. The whole, like, the female commander thing makes the monster big. I'm fine with that concept. This is one of the best executions of it. Just everything about her is so unsettling. Like, I don't want to see them fight her because I don't want to see how she fights. Also, was I seeing things, or when she opens up her safe, does she pull a different piece out to put that one in, or?
Yeah, I think she has two of them.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
She has two. That's neat. Can't wait to see what else she's got in her safe.
Right, and it also leads to the idea of the generals having more than one, and then how many does what the hell is his name? Dungranio?
Yeah,
Or
Dungranio.
Like, how many does he have?
I'd say at least 3.
And it, like, everything involving, like, all the, like, the setup to all this was great. Like, I liked how, like, she teleported in.
Oh, you know what? Maybe that's what the other one was.
Yeah, like, it could have been, like, the whole sliders thing. They built a temporal portal. But yeah, it's like, I'm all for, like Rai said, the female commander being the one to make the monsters grow. I'm hesitant to see her fight because we've not really, that hasn't really played out well in Sentai over the last couple of years.
We had the female from Gokaiger, who wasn't really a fighter, so she didn't do that kind of thing.
Right, she more manipulated shit.
We had the one from Juoger who was a fighter. The problem is that, like, she got a raw deal. She kept surviving only to be killed by her boss in the end.
Right. It took all the force out of that character.
This also brings another point to mind of every time she shows up, are they just going to stand there while she grows the monster big, or what?
I mean, every other series did.
Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering if they're going to keep doing that. Because it's very hit or miss on whether or not it works. Like, take Kyuryuger, for example. When Lucky Roo would go over and he'd water the corpse. Usually, Lucky Roo is very small, and so they usually didn't pay any attention to him. and so I was willing to excuse him in that he could slip by unnoticed. But then you had the girl from Juoger who would just walk up afterwards and do it, and that was it. Or the woman from Gao Ranger who would cast the spell in front of everyone.
Like that's what I liked about Gokaiger best, in terms of the whole growing the monster thing.
She just did it from space. Didn't have to show up at all.
You know, the same way Bandora would do it from the moon. Yes, I made an original Power Rangers reference.
Yeah. Hell,
it's like
there's some series where the monsters just grow themselves.
Right. Like Shinkenger,
Go Ranger, Go Onger rather.
Yeah.
Ginja Man. They drank a potion.
Q Rangers was automatic.
Yes, it was because they already had it built in.
Yeah. I was like, and that's what they did with a lot of the old ones. It was like either a built-in thing, or it just automatically happened, or it was done from a distance. Like in Goseiger, it was they released little eyeball bats, the BBBs or whatever the fuck they were called.
Hell, in Deca Ranger, the monsters didn't grow big. They had their own giant robots.
And then there was the Go Buster with the Megazords.
Yeah, the monsters were robots.
And I know this is off topic, but that's going to be really interesting on NPC.
Yeah! Go Buster's getting adapted.
Oh, that's what you guys are talking about. That's cool. So let's see. Yeah. Then the mech fight. Pretty awesome. I gotta say, I'm quite fond of Lupin Kaiser's design. Gatling gun arm and a freaking buzzsaw arm is pretty sweet, and just the whole fight sequence was CGI'd to hell, and it was great. So many explosions. And then, yeah, I'm quite fond of the Lupin Rangers. You know how the Sentai always say something after they defeat the giant? Well, basically, what Lupin Rangers is an eternal adieu, or adieu forever, however you want to translate it, but it's freaking awesome. Oh, go ahead.
For the few people who don't understand French, adieu means goodbye.
Yes.
I'm a fan of an eternal adieu.
Yes.
Yes, I am too.
So, yeah, they all meet back up at the cafe. Fumika calls Striker Goody for short. But guess who shows up? The three PatoRangers. Episode end.
I like that they're going to share the tool for their mechs as well. And that's just good. And like it, Good Striker puts it perfectly. I'm as free as a bird. Like, I'll help you guys out this time. And then he's gonna help out the PatoRangers. He doesn't really seem to care which side he's fighting for. He just wants to get involved in the giant mech fights. And then, when they do form their mech, he's another Ticket-kun. And that part confuses me. Why? Also, is he going to still be that same puppet when he's in the PatoRangers mech, or is he going to have a different appearance? Because I think that he's going to have a different one to more reflect the...
He'll just have a cop hat.
Yeah, that's what
he'll look exactly the same, just with a cop hat.
Oh, well then.
I have no idea.
This was...
Nobody will know the difference.
This was a pretty good first mech fight. They didn't really fight the monster so much as they did just dodge his attacks with a lot of CGI, but we got to see a lot of mobility with the mech, which is what I like to see. And then they didn't just use giant lasers. They actually fired bullets. It's not a single beam, so it's different.
I had that exact thought when I watched it. I was like, hey, it's not a laser beam. Kind of the same, but it's different.
And then for the end, like, it's clear that the Power Rangers are just there for lunch. So I was shocked that they actually ended on the cliffhanger of like, oh no, have they found them out? Like, no. I honestly was waiting for them to end on the gag of like, oh, we'd like a seat, please.
Right. Like, given everything that we know about him so far, is like to have that be given away so. To me, that would be jumping the shark. Um, it. I also have no issue with it being just one of those. Hey, we tracked our like having a way to track Goody, and oh, it's here. How did this get here? And oh, it fell through the window. Have the Lupin make up some bullshit cockamamie story as to why they have it.
Oh, what I'm expecting for next episode, not that. I'm expecting that they are just there for lunch, and then when it comes time for the mech fight, Lupin is going to pull it out, and he's gonna be like, "Nah, let's see what these guys got this time," and he's just gonna abandon them. They're like, "What?"
Right. That would actually be awesome. I like the idea that he has a free will. I'm not real big on sentient shit like this. It's one of the things I had an issue with Go Onto the first time I started to watch it. Because I kind of hated their fucking personalities.
Doru.
Yeah, I hated that shit. But it doesn't.
Loved it.
Like it was awesome. It got to be too much. For me.
They all had one. They
Right.
all had one.
What, 15 or 16 of them fucking things?
12, but who's counting?
I should know that. I've watched the fucking PR version of it.
Like, you don't even need to count them. Their final mech is called G12.
I didn't pay that much attention. All I knew is that the RPM version was actually pretty good.
It was actually phenomenal.
It to me is since, because that was at the point where Disney had bought it, right?
Yeah, that was the last Disney series.
Yeah, they went out with a bang before they decided, hey, let's just comic up the first fucking original series.
They didn't even like want to do RPM after Jungle Fury. They were like, all right, we're done, but we still have it, and if we don't use it, we lose it. So fuck it, do whatever.
And it turned out to be one of the best decisions they made before Saban bought it back.
Yeah, my two favorite Power Ranger series are SPD and RPM.
But that was one of the things I didn't like, was the whole sentient, I have a voice thing for individual mechs. I have no problem with Good Striker, because it's just one of them. And his personality kind of makes sense for the way we're given the story of, I don't give a fuck, I just want to kill the monster. It's like, I don't care which one of you fuckers I'm helping. I really enjoyed this mech fight. To me, it was very akin to the first Gokaiger fight in terms of the CG.
There was a surprising amount of CG this fight.
It was. It's like, and I kind of like that. It's like, I love the man in suit fights because they're more like intimate. It's like, but it's with the CG, it's like they can do more with it. There's more flexibility. There's more movement. It's like it looks better than the standard Sentai fights. I get why they go back to it. It's tradition and all that. But to me, the CG versions look better. Usually, there are some that are just fucking terrible.
This CG wasn't too bad. you could tell when it switched to CG, but it was sharp.
Right, it was crisp enough that you could tell, but you didn't question it. Um, and I really enjoyed it. Um, it showed off the mech showed the same versatility that the Pat Rangers had. It showed like their kind of fighting style, which I really enjoyed. Still really
You mean Lupin Rangers?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Who the fuck did I say?
The other Sentai in the show.
Oh. See, this is the issue with having two of them, fuckers.
Why can't we just have one team with 12 of the fuckers?
Because it starts out like shit.
Yeah.
I didn't mean that to sound as hostile as it did.
Wow. Hope you're
yes,
for
welcome.
breakfast, because Vashy's serving up some harsh browns.
Welcome to the podcast where I will fuck up Sentai names.
Oh.
But yeah, it's like it showed the versatility for the Lupin Rangers that, you know, it's like it's clearly their mech. Because that was the other thing I kind of hate about Sentai fights is like the mechs have no like personality in the fights. It's just giant robot.
That's
like,
one thing.
Even the ones that were sentient.
That's one thing I liked about Deca Rangers mech fights was that they did stuff with that. They would like hide behind buildings with their gun drawn. Like it was actually like really neat.
Like it was clearly you could tell this is police. It wasn't just giant robots smash things, which is typically what Sentai mech fights devolve into. Even the older ones that were sentient, like fucking, for the reference, the Ranger. Their fucking Zords were sentient, but you really couldn't tell. Because it was they moved very robotically because of it's a man in a suit. And a very bulky one at that. Which is why I like the CG fights a little bit better. And I've been rambling for a while, so I will leave my point at that.
Any final thoughts?
One more point on the CG mech fights. When they actually like delivered the final blow, we got a CG shot of the monster blowing up. I kind of like that, and so I'd like to see that as a kind of consistent thing throughout the series. Even if the fights just stop being CG in general, I'd like to still see like the CG monster get destroyed. It would be like a very unique aspect for the series.
For sure.
Yeah, and then it does look better than poof, big explosion, monster disappears.
Ah!
Or the ones that clearly fall down and then the
Or like they fall mid-explosion and then when the effects are gone, they're still falling on the ground.
Like this is one of the few things why is Saban still involved in, or at least the Saban side of Japan still involved in making decisions for this show.
I haven't heard anything about this one. That may have just been a Q Ranger thing.
Because like I would be all for Hasbro taking over that role.
If you know anything about this topic, please let us know in the comments.
Because it would make sense for them to kind of give Hasbro that role since that was the deal with Bandai America. And I would kind of like that. It's like Hasbro has done great things with they've outside of
you kind of cut out there.
The Hasbro's kind of always had done a decent job of whatever property that they've had a hold of. from Japan, with the exclusion of making the Transformer movies, and some of their movie decisions were fucking terrible. But toy wise, and pretty much what they have taken over for Bandai, I feel Hasbro can do an amazing job. And I think if they had some input this way for the adaptations, it would work. I think it would work better than Kyuranger will.
This has been a great first 2 episodes of the series too, and it's not 2 separate episodes either. It's just 1 episode in 2 parts, introducing the cast, particularly focusing on the LupinRangers. I'm hoping that we actually start seeing some more attention to PatoRanger, rather than just them remaining as like a secondary team. But so far, this series is in good hands with this writer. It is a huge contrast to Kyuranger last year, which was on fast forward.
Right. It's like these first 2 episodes, which Rice said is basically just the intro to the monsters and Rangers with teams. It's done a better job of introducing 6 characters. It did a better job than Kyuranger did in 1 episode of introducing, what, 5?
Yeah.
Because we have motivations for the Kyurangers, and we even have some kind of motivation for the PatoRanger. Or not the Kyurangers, the fucking LupinRangers. Hi, I'm Vashi V, and I fuck up Sentai. Jesus Christ, how is this still a thing? Like, we have thorough motivation for the LupinRangers. We have some kind of motivation for the PatoRangers in terms of, hey, they're cops, these are bad guys. That's just your standard thing. Obviously, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot more in depth into it. And we even have motivation for the bad guys.
Like, for Kyuranger, Hame's actress was told, like, just laugh like you think something is funny. And then her actress just kind of awkwardly laughed to the point where people thought that she was being shallow. And Spada's actor was just told, like, make a food pun. But here, the Power Rangers who aren't getting as much attention, they're actually, like, being given direction with their characters. Green is being told, like, hey, you're kind of naive and you're not used to being in battle. And Pink is being told, like, hey, you're kind of serious and you're a little like attentive. We have actual, like, clear ideas of what their personalities are, rather than just some trait that was half baked into the show to get the ball rolling.
Right. Like, here we have distinct, even with the PatoRangers who've had the least amount of screen time in terms of characters and whatnot, they still feel like whole characters. Whereas with, like, the start of Kyuranger, only a handful of them ever felt like full characters. It was pretty much just 3 of them that felt like full characters. And it shows a lot of movement forward in terms of the direction that this show is taking over Kyuranger. I have very high hopes for this writer, and I hope that it continues along the path that it is now. Because it would suck to have a really good start and have it just fall apart.
I would honestly say Blue is the one we know about the least, but not because he wasn't being given good direction or being included. It's because you can tell his character is intentionally distancing himself from the others. He's trying not to get close to them, because we saw what happened when he got close to someone before.
Right. And it even follows through with the whole, well, what happens if I get close to these 3 and shit goes south, and we have to uphold the promise of, fuck it, you're on your own, I'm not going to try and save you. You know, it adds to his character for him to be distant from everyone else. and it makes sense. One thing I did want to note about the initial mech fight between or Zord fight between the Lupin Rangers and the Pat Rangers was the difference in comfort inside the mechs.
Oh yeah, people.
Because like the Lupin Rangers, they clearly knew what they were doing,
They've piloted their mechs before.
and with the Pat Rangers, it was very very obvious that they had never done this before, had no training whatsoever on what their mechs did. So they literally were just like when the pop ups would pop up for like the ready and stuff like that. It's like they like would like flail at it or accidentally hit it in the case of Pink.
Green especially didn't know what was going on. Because he wasn't even looking at the road.
So like it adds to a good it adds to consistency with rather than them standard. Wait, I've got superpowers. Oh wait, I have a giant mech. I immediately know how to do.
Oh yeah, when they're told to like when they're first forming their mech and Lupin Rangers get the message of like, oh, pull the thing. They're like, pull this? It's like, oh hey, this is comfortable. You get to see their reaction to the mech coming together. And can I say that like it's kind of a breath of fresh air to get a standardized cockpit again. Q Ranger was very unique, and I liked it, but it just feels comfortable being back to the norm.
I'm glad it's back to the normal cockpit rather than just even just the hey, we've got 5 people in a room and just a random thing that they put their hands over.
Oh yeah, the side by side ones.
Yes, I hated those damn things.
So I liked the one in Kaitou Ryuger, because their guns were kind of like a control panel next to them. But the ones in Zyuohger were like, okay, so they're spinning a cube.
Yep.
Or you get Geki Ranger, which we've got 3 people in a cockpit that are doing martial arts.
Yeah, and
but
then,
only one person is controlling a Zord.
Well, like,
why are they all doing it?
No, they were all controlling it together. They had to be in sync to operate it. That was kind of the cleverness of that one, because the mech would do what they did.
Right, but there were also points where one would throw a punch and another one would kick. Like there were times that didn't line up. It's like I was like I understood the point of it, and it did make sense. It's like, but it fell apart in certain places. And it like Shinkenger, and it's just a fucking hand over sword, which made no fucking sense about anything unless you count the fact that it was their key or whatever the fuck terminology they used for it.
For Shinkenger, imagine the sword is a fight stick on like an arcade cabinet.
Yeah, that would make sense. It's like I said, it's like, and they did add into the fact that it was whatever word they used for key.
Mojikara.
So it's like it gives kind of a pass on. It's like, but there are some of them that were just bad ideas. For side by side shit.
Yeah, my biggest problem with the side by side is how much space they're taking up. And it never really bothered me before, but in more recent, like, I've started to notice, like, they are taking up a lot of space. Like, in Kyoryuger, there's, like, a good, like, several feet between each of them. At least in Zyuohger, they're sitting almost shoulder to shoulder.
And it raises the question of where exactly in the mech are they? Like, we get the stereotypical, like, they're typically in the head and or chest, because I think what it was Dairangers was in the chest.
Yeah, Dairanger was in the chest.
Tokuger was in the head.
Yes.
which makes sense with like that whole cockpit thing. It gives you a clear define of where they were at, and that was another thing I liked about the mech build up for this one, is you could clearly see where they were at in the mech, because it basically formed the room, and then it went, oh wait, yeah, there's supposed to be a face here.
Yeah, there's that moment. There's that moment where the monster, watching the mech come together, can see them inside. He can see who he's actually fighting before the face comes across. I actually like that. I hope that
Oh
does
yeah.
not like just get glossed over in the future.
Right. It's like it's the little things like that tie this series so far, even though it's just two episodes together really well. It's just the seemingly realism behind it, despite the fact that superheroes with giant robots fighting monsters. I don't know. It's like I just really like the way everything's been taken care of and everything else with this series so far.
Uh, anything you have to say, Decade?
Nope. I pretty much agree with most of what you guys said. I'm just really looking forward to seeing the PatoRangers get more familiar with their mechs and giant robo. We shall see.
Well, sounds like that's it for tonight, folks. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. See you guys next time.